we talked about South Africa. South Africa, people don't know this. South Africa is also very, very, very corrupt. I mean, President Jacob Zuma, who, according to, I've not fact checked this, and I'm not really keen on putting someone like Trevor Noah on my blog, but according to Trevor Noah, Jacob Zuma was indicted for 700 different corruption charges before he was elected president, and obviously we know about the home renovation scandal, which was asked to pay back. So South Africa is not a country Nigeria should emulate, especially when it comes to tackling corruption and co. So there's no dish to South Africa. So I don't want someone to come on the comment section and try to insult me. I love South Africa. I love South Africans. They are amazing people. These just facts as they are, and I'm sorry. It's no insult intended. So let's keep going down. Yes, we also talked about India's Gini ratio, which is 33.9, and Ethiopia's Gini ratio, which is 33.6. Now you basically look at these countries. These are these countries. Now when you look at their Gini ratio, you realize, wow, Nigeria's Gini ratio is high. You can't talk about South Africa. We talk about, yes, the population is the population in Nigeria is too big. Nigeria is not as huge. The population in Nigeria is not as big as the population in India, but yet they could ensure that the Gini ratio between the country is 33.9, as it was last measured in 2013. You could read it to fact check me well and the blog. According to the NDP, it was 33.9 in 2013. So basically, yes. India has a lower Gini ratio than Nigeria, and yes, having a lower Gini ratio shows that the inequality rate in the country is lower. Now people will say, yes, I don't want to say that Nigeria shouldn't strive to ensure that the Gini ratio is zero, because obviously not everybody would be equal, so there should be a disparity between the rich and the poor. The only thing that there should be, it shouldn't be such a huge gap. There should be still a big top, the bourgeoisie, the oil pullers, everybody. There should be the bourgeoisie class, there should be the working class, there should be the languishing class. But first of all, there should be, the gap shouldn't be that much, and there should be mobility between these classes. So basically, somebody that works hard from the middle class can become a bourgeoisie. Somebody that doesn't work hard, as in the top class, could fall down. And that's one of the things we didn't really talk about it yet in the blog, but I mean on mock this thing as we're going through the show. People don't know this, but this is Nigeria as a failed state. It's actually a series. We're going to be working on a few more posts on this Nigeria as a failed state. I think we chose a very wrong article, a wrong title for this book, because people would think that we're trying to castigate Nigeria, but no, not so. This title was chosen mainly for theatrics and to just maybe get a huge name, but obviously we're just trying to critically analyze Nigeria as a country, its economic situation, political, basically everything. We're just trying to analyze Nigeria here on the blog, so don't look at the name. Now, we have basically talked about the Gini ratio in Nigeria. Let's talk about the next thing we talked about was now, with such high GDP, it would be safe to assume that Nigeria would have one of the most developed infrastructure in the world. Well, you'll be wrong. According to the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Nigeria needs approximately $8 billion yearly to bridge the gap in the nation's public infrastructure. This problem was caused as a result of decades of federal and state governments' budget for capital expenditure being on sharp decline while recurrent expenditure being on the rise. That basically says that the state's recurrent expenditure, which basically salaries and occasions and all these things, is always rising, while by the state's capital expenditure has been on the decrease. That's basically building roads, building airports, and basically the infrastructural development, the economic development of the country, it has been going down, whereby basically the recurrent expenditure has been going up, which is very bad. I'm not sure of this, I wouldn't like to say it, but maybe I'll say it. Maybe someone could fact check it and put it down in the comment section. Yes, Nigeria, the highest employment of Nigerian labor is the Nigerian government. That is what I believe, and I've not really checked it out, but I think the single highest employer of Nigerian labor is the Nigerian government. That is very, very bad, because basically that means the government is too big to fail. We know what countries that have such ideals and what goes into them. Now, let's go back. The average government budget for expenditure has been about 25%. This has translated to less investment in building and maintenance of public infrastructure. That means less than 25% of Nigeria's budget goes into the building of roads, basically building of public infrastructure. This does not. This was written before the last budget. That was the budget under President Mohammed Buhari. So it was not put in it was not put. We didn't consider that a budget. So, and I have not yet looked at that budget till today. And maybe when I look at it, we might revise it. But basically, yes, the Nigerian budget, 25% goes into this thing. This was at its highest during the military dictatorship. Yes, now we come back here to see it. One of the problems with military dictatorship, because military dictatorship has no oversight. Basically, dictatorship, whether military, democratic, any kind of dictatorship, has no oversight over it. So during that period, the military basically took Nigeria's money and did whatever they wanted to do with it. What that meant that Nigeria spent basically all its money on was basically recurrent expenditure, and we know the problems with recurrent expenditure. Nigeria has a problem with ghost workers and co. Okay, let's keep going. Where was that? It's going to be the worst video on YouTube. Please don't use the dislike button. Please don't use the dislike button. I think that just made you want to use the like button more. Only about 18% of Nigeria, of the nation's 197,000 kilometers of federal road networks, which takes 90% of persons across the country, is paved. That means only 18% of the roads in Nigeria the federal roads in Nigeria is paved. It takes about 90%. That is basically the whole country uses these roads, and this means that these roads are bad. So obviously, we later in the blog we will try to explain the reason why poor infrastructure leads to poor economic development. We won't try to explain it here. It will be in other series on this Nigeria Failed State. Maybe after this will change the name, because every single time I say it, I feel like I'm betraying my country. If you don't know now, I am a Nigerian, and this is just my view about Nigeria. It's not a diss to Nigeria. I love my country. I'm a patriotic Nigerian. That's all I can say. I won't say I would choose another country over Nigeria. In my situation right now, I would always pick Nigeria. Okay. As we go on, so the situation is even worse than in states and local governments. So basically, we're trying to say that 19%, according to for this local government, the federal government is good. So the state governments and the local governments are worse. And I try to crack on that joke. I think I'll stop putting this parenthesis in my book. Work. It basically makes the whole work it's trying to be funny when I never am. I said that basically imagine that if this starts like the federal are good, imagine the states that the public power generation in Nigeria is disgraceful. the country generates less than 4,000 megawatts of power, which is less than 50% of demand. Around 90% of films in Nigeria run on back of power. In spite of the privatization scheme, there's massive increase in tariffs for power. I forgot to cite where I got this thing from, but I think in the comment section I would cite where I got this information from. It was gotten from the Nigerian Ministry from Finance, the official website. We read it and found this things out here. So according to Nigeria, these are the stats. So I just wish I just hope I just hope they are correct stats. The healthcare system in Nigeria is under sector in that situation, with very few hospitals and even fewer healthcare workers, qualified and unqualified. So I basically said, yes, even if you're qualified and unqualified, let's bring you guys out. They are still not enough for Nigeria. So it's no wonder that the average mortality rate and the infant mortality rate, although improving over the years, has a lot of room for improvement. Because yes, Nigeria has one of the highest, has a high mortality rate, but obviously it has been improving drastically since the year 2000 till now. It has been improving and improving, and we hope it keeps improving like that till the end. Let's keep going. It's no wonder that the average mortality rate one of the biggest problems with Nigerian health culture is the fact that the standard organization that is supposed to ensure the quality of health service for the average Nigeria is seriously lacking. Basically, trying to follow the standardization and the regulation of Nigerian health hospitals. Basically, anything goes in a Nigerian hospital. We all know that, and it's very, very bad. We hope that changes very soon. In every market you go to, you find unlicensed pharmacists doing the job of good doctor and pharmacists, prescribing and selling drugs to sick illiterates. So basically, we're trying to explain. I am part of those sick illiterates that patronize unlicensed pharmacists. Yes, we have all patronized unlicensed pharmacists, but basically going to hospital in Nigeria, because yes, everything in Nigeria is federalized, and I would like to give a shout out to Stephen Crowder for trying to fight it in the United States. A huge shout out to you, because everything is federalized. Getting access to healthcare is very, very hard. So basically, you will be stuck with these quacks and these illiterates, because for someone like myself, someone like